What's poppin' everyone, it's your boy Levi, and we're back in the classroom. Y'all hit the like goal last video, so we're back for more Eternal Return Slang you should know. This is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, click the card above. First term is one you'll probably hear me use a lot in this video. Pilot is just another word for saying the player controlling the character. You'll probably hear it along the lines of, we don't have many Alex pilots here in North America. You're also most likely to hear that during the Roundtable discussion. Roundtable is a podcast-like discussion hosted on Passant's Twitch channel each season, where the top Eternal Return players talk about the state of each character. The Season 6 Roundtable is coming up soon, so look out for that in the coming weeks. Next up is ABC. ABC, in essence, is just third partying. It's when A fights B, and then C comes to clean up the fight, and just wins. You'll hear it most times during safe zones near the end of a game. When there's 3 people left, A and B have to fight in one safe zone, and then C is left alone in the other safe zone. C just waits until their red timer is higher than the in-game timer, and then walks over to the other safe zone where A and B are fighting. Most of the time, this results in C getting a double kill. I also want to list some resources for the game because I've been seeing people ask about DAC a lot in streams lately. DAC, IIGG, and OPGG are all resources for Eternal Return. The most common used one is DAC. On here you can look up stats, builds, profiles, match histories. It's pretty much a good all-around tool. On IA.gg, the most common used feature is the route simulator. Here you can input builds for a character, and it will give you a suggested path based on what items you chose. The route simulator feature is getting put into the Eternal Return client soon, at some point in the future. OP.gg is relatively a new resource for Eternal Return, but not for a lot of other games. I don't think people use this one too much in terms of the stats, but sometimes OP.gg partners with Eternal Return to run some events. We've had a few Acoin events through the site, I believe. Smurf, Smurfing, and being cracked are 3 very similar terms, all with a little different meaning. A Smurf is a second account players make. Because it's a new account, it gets matched with much lower ranked players, and sometimes beginner players. Smurfing generally isn't healthy for the game for a number of reasons, so if you are going to Smurf, try to at least play a character that you don't normally play. When you're playing out of your mind, or made a really good play, someone might say you're smurfing, or that you're cracked. Contrarily, these are rather positive terms. If someone says you're smurfing after a good play, it means you're so good that you're making everyone else look like beginner players. Being cracked is just another form of saying the same. And of course, every positive term has its negative term. Character carried is when a character is so strong that it makes a pilot look good at the character, even if they're not. I'm personally really against this term because I feel like being carried isn't really a thing. Characters just give pilots tools to work with, and some tools are easier to use than others, but ultimately, the pilot still has to make them work. However, it does seem like a prevalent term in the community, so I did include it here. Next up is stat check. Getting stat checked is when you lose a fight due to your character having inferior stats than your opponent. You could do all the right things, and you still lose the fight regardless of skill difference. Similarly, tier checked is more or less the same thing, except instead of stats, it's when your low tier character loses to a higher tier character despite doing everything right. A bit of a fun one, you might hear streamers often say, "Don't be weird" when they walk by a character. Weird refers to any activity in game that doesn't have much purpose. Example of this is when the level 3 Magnus ease you off a hyperloop, or a white weapon Hyunwoo slams you into a wall for no reason. All it does is slow both players down by maybe half a second. You don't really even get that much mastery from it, and it's probably a normals game anyways, so it's like, what you doing? Continuous weird moments though can lead to being griefed, and there's a pretty big misunderstanding of what's considered being griefed. I see a lot of players just throw that word out whenever an inconvenience happens. Griefing is any act of sabotage that doesn't correlate with the player trying to win. Griefing can be intentional or unintentional. And some examples of being griefed are when a player comes into your loot distribution instead of looting theirs, or a player chasing you through multiple zones when they don't have a chance at killing you or an advantage over you. Griefing is not when a player has a purple weapon and you're still on white weapon and you try and craft right in front of them and they try to kill you for it. Or if you're playing a character that's not good at escaping or has high cooldowns on their mobility spells. If someone more ahead in their build than you tries to chase you, it's not really griefing, since they actually have a pretty good chance at killing you. If it lasts 2, maybe 3 zones, yeah, then it's more griefing. But griefing is not the same as getting killed early. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to this point. As always, if you have any more Eternal Return terms you want to find, leave them in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoy Eternal Return, subscribe for more videos similar to this one, and I'll see you in the next one.